The player representatives are leaving Jupiter, Florida, including the terrific Max Scherzer, future first ballot Hall of Famer, in the room, part of these negotiations that did not lead to a deal. And therefore, the first two series of the regular season have been canceled. It's Greg Amsinger in Studio 21 with my good friend Harold Reynolds. And I did not expect to say this to you on this day a week ago. I'm shocked that we don't.
I'm disappointed. A week ago, I might have thought this wasn't going to happen, that we would not have a deal. I would have leaned a little bit the other way.
Right.
But after the last couple days, the momentum that was going the direction, I thought for sure we'd be sitting here talking about they're going to ratify this in 2 days, and then there's going to be a frenzy for the 300 free agents that are out there to be signed, let alone minor league free agents that are trying to get signed. There's a lot of ball players looking for jobs. I thought that's where we'd be heading. Clearly, that's not what we're talking about.
No, and then we heard in the 3 o'clock hour on Tuesday when Major League Baseball moved their deadline from Monday night after negotiating into the wee hours of the morning, gaining so much momentum, they moved it to 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, that Dan Halem and his group from the league were going to give their best offer in the 3 o'clock hour. To me, that was a warning sign that the tenor of the negotiations had changed and that maybe things were off a bit. It led to no deal being done, and Commissioner Rob Manfred at 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday addressed the media with these remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I had hoped against hope that I would not have to have this particular press conference in which I am going to cancel some regular season games. We worked hard to avoid an outcome that's bad for our fans, bad for our players, and bad for our clubs. I want to assure our fans that our failure to reach an agreement was not due to a lack of effort by either party. The players came here for 9 days. They worked hard. They tried to make a deal, and I appreciate their effort. Our committee of club representatives committed to the process. They offered compromise after compromise and hung in past the deadline to make sure that we exhausted every possibility of reaching an agreement before the cancellation of games. So far, the parties have failed to achieve their mutual goal of reaching an agreement. The unfortunate thing, maybe the most unfortunate thing, is that agreement, the one we've offered to our players, offered huge benefits for our fans and for our players. We have listened to the Players Association throughout the process. A primary goal of the Players Association has been to increase pay for younger players. I said in Orlando, and I'll say it again, we agree and share that goal. We offered to raise the minimum salary to $700,000, an increase of $130,000 from last year. We offered to create an annual bonus pool of $30 million for our very best young players. In total, we're offering nearly a 33% raise to almost 2/3 of Major League players, and we're adding more than $100 million annually in additional compensation for this younger player group. The proposal also addressed player and fan concerns about issues like service time and competition. Baseball would, for the first time, have a draft lottery, the most aggressive lottery in professional sports. Also, for the first time ever, we agreed to an incentive system to encourage clubs to promote top prospects on opening day. We also proposed that the first and second place finishers in Rookie of the Year voting in each league would receive a full year of service no matter how long they were in the major leagues. The MLBPA asked us to make free agency more robust. For the first time ever, we agreed to eliminate draft pick compensation, a change that the MLBPA has sought for decades. On the competitive balance tax, we offered a significantly larger first-year increase than in the last two agreements, bearing in mind that the competitive balance tax is the only mechanism in our agreement that protects some semblance of a level playing field among the clubs. The international draft would have more fairly allocated talent among the clubs and reduced abuses in some international markets. We also listened to our fans. The expanded playoffs would bring the excitement of meaningful September baseball and postseason baseball to fans in more markets. While we preferred the 14-team format, when the format became a significant obstacle, we listened to the players' concerns and offered a compromise by accepting the 12-team format. Finally, we offered a procedural agreement that would allow for the timely implementation of sorely needed rules like the pitch timer and the elimination of shifts to improve the entertainment value of the game on the field. And we agreed to the universal DH. So what's next? The calendar dictates that we're not going to be able to play the first two series of the regular season, and those games are officially canceled. We're prepared to continue negotiations. We've been informed that the MLBPA is headed back to New York, meaning that no agreement is possible until at least Thursday. As such, camps could not meaningfully operate until at least March 8th, leaving only 23 days before the scheduled opening day. The clubs and our owners fully understand just how important it is to our millions of fans that we get the game on the field as soon as possible. To that end, we want a bargain and we want an agreement with the Players Association as quickly as possible.
Those comments from the Commissioner Rob Manfred earlier on Tuesday. Major League Baseball Players Association released this statement moments ago. Rob Manfred and Major League Baseball's owners have canceled the start of the season. Players and fans around the world who love baseball are disgusted, but sadly not surprised. From the beginning of these negotiations, players' objectives have been consistent: to promote competition, provide fair compensation for young players, and to uphold the integrity of our market system. Against the backdrop of growing revenues and record profits, we are seeking nothing more than a fair agreement. What Rob Manfred characterized as a, quote, defensive lockout, end quote, is, in fact, the culmination of a decades-long attempt by owners to break our player fraternity. As in the past, this effort will fail. We are united and committed to negotiating a fair deal that will improve the sport for players, fans, and everyone who loves our game. That from the Major League Baseball Players Association. We're also expecting to hear them give remarks to the media. That's coming up momentarily here on the
Greg,
network.
those are pillars. Those are standards that Players Association has stood for years. And there's no doubt they're not going to budge off that. What's different in today's environment than even when I was going through it is the social media, the world that we live in. It's totally different. And to unite all these guys is a difficult task. But because they've gone through some fire in 2020 that kind of galvanized them. So that's why we're in this stance right here. I wouldn't have thought they got to this point, but they've joined together. One of the things we always did in the past, because I went through so many strikes and lockouts as a union philosophy, we set aside a war chest for days like this. And I'm sure they've done the same right now. The question will be, will you get to what you're fighting for? And that will be the interesting point.
There are fans at home wondering why the first two series of the regular season had to be canceled because a deal wasn't done by the 5 p.m. deadline on Tuesday. Major League Baseball and the Players Association both agree to the idea that 4 weeks is needed for spring training. Why is that, Harold?
Well, one is for pitchers. The other is evaluation, giving guys fair time. But the biggest one is health. You know, you can run on a treadmill, you can work out all you want, but as soon as you put spikes on, tell me how many guys are hitting in spikes right now, are running bases in spikes, are taking ground balls in spikes. You're not. As soon as you get on there, your hamstrings grab you. So it's about training and conditioning. And so pitchers take a little while to get their arms in shape and everything else. The challenge is, Greg, by that 4th week, usually you have 6 weeks of spring training. 2 weeks to condition, 4 weeks to get ready for that opening day, and you're making decisions on young players, veterans, whatever it might be. You're setting rosters. The challenge with 4 weeks is now you're playing games after 1 week. So you're playing 3 weeks of games. And 3 weeks of games, if I'm a veteran player, I'm not playing every day. You've been to spring training. Mm-hmm. I'm going to play maybe 3 days a week. And I'm going to play my first 2 ABs. I have a day off. 2 more at-bats, I have a day off. 2 more at-bats, maybe 3, I have a day off. That's only 7 at-bats in a week.
Yeah.
And so by the time we get to 3 weeks, now I got to ramp it up, and now I'm full speed. I'm trying to do. I've really only had 25 ABs. Normally, I would have 65, 70. That's a big difference when I go into the first part of the season and I'm feeling good about myself. I've seen sliders, changeups, breaker balls, whatever it might be, and I'm timing it. Now that's shortened. I got 21 ABs to get ready for the season. That's the challenge of a shortened spring.
You've experienced this in your playing career. You've covered it now as a broadcaster for such a long time. This is day 91 of the Major League Baseball imposed lockout. It was contentious leading up to the lockout 91 days ago, and they didn't meet for over a month. Based on the fact that there was so much momentum Monday night, which made all of us in the industry feel like a deal was going to get done on Tuesday, the fact that the tenor changed and a deal did not get done, and the player representatives are heading back and leaving Florida, and union officials heading back to New York City, and you heard the commissioner say the earliest we could reconvene potentially is Thursday. What are your instincts telling you? How frequent or maybe infrequently are they going to get together going forward? Because if I'm a fan at home, it's a nightmare scenario if they wait another month like they did 91 days ago when the lockout was initiated.
There'll be a call volleyed across. He didn't pick Thursday for no reason. You know, we're here Tuesday. They travel tomorrow. Guys got back to New York on Thursday. Look, we're dealing with professional negotiators. Myself, I'd be chapped right now. I probably wouldn't call you for a week. I'm trying to gather my thoughts. We went through a war for 10 days. But these guys are paid to do this. And so I'm sure there'll be a call made on Thursday saying, when are we going to meet again? And we'll probably see meetings in the following week. But if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we're in big trouble. The one thing we have as fans on our side is the calendar. They all agree. We are now into April, even though the calendar says March. On the baseball calendar, we're into the second week of April already.
Yeah.
So the longer this lingers and you don't meet, every day is a day that is ticking back against that calendar. And so hopefully they will get back together. So my instinct is, yeah, they'll get back Thursday, make a phone call, and hopefully meet next week.
Let's limit the damage.
Figure out ways to limit damage.